There's a shift happening in the business world. The hustle, the sell, the push isn't serving us. As business owners, we want real human connection. We want a partnership that means more than a handshake. We want to show up as ourselves and run a business that feels good. We want to go deeper to find solutions, and we dream of a better future for ourselves and our community. Join me as we explore a different approach to business, a more personal way to serve our clients, our team, and ourselves. This is the Soul Side of Business. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Soul Side of Business. I'm Ashley with Imagine Images, and I'm going to be your guide as we explore the more personal side of business, what it's like to have relationships with your clients, how to work better on a team, how to take better care of yourself, and what it feels like to run a successful business, and what does success even look like, because it's going to be different for everybody. Now, I do understand that when you go into business, you do so to make money. If you're not making money for your time and efforts, you do not have a business. And I do get that there are things that you have to do, not necessarily things you always want to do, in order to make sure that you're getting that paycheck coming in, to have your bills paid, to get your team paid. What I'm trying to get at is that I think that the societal norm that we have in our heads about what it takes to run a business is a little screwed up. Like, we have to hustle, we have to grind, we have to run ourselves ragged in order to be successful. And I think that that's changing. So I came up with the idea for this podcast when I was transitioning from a wedding portrait photographer, videographer, to doing more business and brand work. And I started networking, and I had this idea in my head that I wasn't going to fit in. These are people in suits. There's a code I have to follow. I don't know the lingo, and it's going to be very, very awkward. But the more I started doing these things and the more I started talking to the people, I just realized that we have a lot more in common than we do different. I'm the type of person that it's not unusual for me to sit down and talk to someone for a couple hours about their life, their family, and I really do care. And I find out that the more vulnerable and the more open I can be with other people, that they do so as well with me. The more we talked, the more I found out that a lot of small business owners face a lot of the same problems, a lot of same challenges, have a lot of good ideas on how to overcome it. I'm a small business owner, and I would also like to feel good about my business and have great connections and just be successful in that matter. So because this is what I do for my small business, I realized that I had everything I need to do a video podcast. So I packed up my stuff and I went around the Fox Valley and had some conversations with some small business owners that I really like their approach to their business and how they are more connection-based, and then the mindset behind what they do. And I had some amazing conversations. The goal for this podcast is that it doesn't matter what type of business you run, you should be able to have some takeaways from the conversations, from the solo episodes that you can apply to your own business. So I wanted to open up this first episode with something that I saw on one of my social media platforms that I'm on, a couple months back. And I was scrolling and reading, and I saw this post, and it just kind of made me stop and think. This is what it said. It said, "The magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding. Work harder." And it just made me stop to think that, okay, I understand that there are times that you have to hustle. There's times that you have to work. There are times that you're going to have to stay up late and make deadlines, but that's just not sustainable. It isn't. And your health, your mind, your well-being is just not worth it if you're working so hard. So I thought, how can we reframe this conversation to ask the question, why are we avoiding the work in the first place? Because that's where I think the magic is, and that's what needs to be worked on, because there's a number of things that could be stopping you from doing this work. And if you don't go back and fix that, you're just going to run into the snag every single time, and you're going to be frustrated, and you're going to beat yourself up, and it's not going to flow as easily as you would hope. So when I sat down to think about why we would be avoiding work, what's the deeper problem, And I thought, well, there's a couple things that I feel like a lot of folks struggle with. One being perfectionism, one being overwhelm. A lot of these things are fear-based. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success. What is the deeper reasoning why we are avoiding this work? For me, because I self-reflected on it too, because I'm on this journey with you as well, I realized that I have a problem asking for help. And I'm sure this goes way back to somewhere, but I do not like asking for help. I feel like I'm bothering people if I ask for their time or their expertise or their services. I really feel like I should be able to do it myself, or I'm bothering someone, they're not going to have time, or I'm interrupting their day, or they'd rather be doing something else more important. And when doing this podcast, that really made me look that insecurity in the face, because I actually have to email these people and set up times for the interviews. And the more I did it, the more I realized that these people actually do want to help me, and they don't mind sitting down and talking to me for a little bit. And the more I did it, I found out that it's actually good for everybody, and it didn't kill me, and that it's something that it was just in my head of what kind of a problem that was. So now I've kind of worked past that, and now it's way easier for me to set up interviews. It's way easier for me to promote the podcast. If I didn't fix that problem, every time I set up an interview or had to make a phone call or make an email, I feel like it would feel icky to do so, and now it doesn't have to be. And that was a good example of fixing the deeper problems so that I can continue to do the work that I'm supposed to be doing. Another one is if you have a really big project and you just don't know where to start. A lot of times you just need to break it down into smaller, manageable tasks. That's another one that I struggle with, that it's such a big project. But if you can just start and take each mile marker as you go, then eventually the project will be done and it wasn't so bad. And let's talk about that maybe the reason you're avoiding this work is that deep down you don't want to do it. Maybe you are not excited about this project. Maybe this is something you don't want to do. This is not a path you want to go down. Who are you disappointing if you don't do it? What societal norm are you going against if you don't do this thing? Maybe deep down there is something different you want to do, and that's the reason why you're avoiding it. I find that, and this is a little bit of a woo out there concept, but if I can't see the final project, if I can't envision it, then it's very, very hard for me to follow through on it. So you almost have to think of what it would look and feel like to have the project done. And once you have a better idea of what your goal is, it makes the whole process a lot easier. And my final thought on this topic is, what if you are bringing it? What if you are working as hard as you can and you are not seeing the results that you want? I think it's a very toxic thing for our society to always be like, work harder, push harder, do better, when maybe you are giving it all you got. And it's got to feel pretty crappy if you aren't seeing results. So in that case, I would almost have to redefine your goals, redefine what your success is, and see if there are ways you can focus your energy, narrow down on the things that truly matter, and see if that can push you in the right direction. Because I tell you, if you are already not sleeping, already stressed to the max, and someone says, you got to do a little harder, you don't want it enough, that's just the worst. And that just is going to make you want to give up all completely. And as being a small business owner, you have to be resourceful. You have to pivot. You have to be creative in your problem solving, and you got to figure things out. And sometimes things don't work, and you need to find something that you can tweak and have a different approach to. So that'll wrap it up for episode 1. I want to keep these episodes fairly short because as small business owners, we don't have a lot of time. I want to pack as much value as possible into these episodes. I hope you had a couple good takeaways and at least start to think about and reflect on yourself and your business and how you can take a little bit different approach and what success looks like for you. You can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. It is also going to be available where you listen to your regular podcasts, and you can find me on Instagram. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on the Soul Side of Business.